Good evening, everybody. My name is Todd Scholl. I'm the lead learner at the SCEA's Center for Educator Wellness and Learning. I hope you're doing well tonight. Tonight, we're going to be hearing from our member advocate, Cherolyn Allen. And if you are a member of the SCEA, of course, you can call our help desk at any time. If you're not a member of the SCEA, this is just one of the many amazing benefits that we offer our members is this help desk, where if you have legal questions or questions about policy, things going on in your school or your district, you can call our help desk. And Cherolyn Allen does such a remarkable job of working with our members to help them answer those tough questions. Before we get started tonight, I feel like it's important for you to understand that this presentation and its content are intended for general information purposes only and does not create an attorney-client relationship. If you have individual questions, you can contact our member advocacy office or your regional UniServe director. Those numbers can be obtained from the SCEA website at the scea.org. If you are watching tonight, you can join the SCEA at jointhescea.org, or you can text the word join to 48744. And if you're not ready to join yet, but you'd just like to learn more about the SCEA and being a member of the NEA, the SCEA, and your local association, you can go to this link now at the bottom of your screen, which is the scea.org/YRO. And of course, you can find all of the cool stuff that we do, including blog posts and videos and panel discussions on our cool website at cool.us. That's CEWL.us. And of course, you can find out all of the events going on with the SCEA at the scea.org/events. And the last thing I want to plug before we bring on Cherolyn is our Dairy Berry of a Day. You can sign up for that, a full day of fun and amazing professional learning with Jed Derryberry. That'll be taking place at the SCEA headquarters in Columbia on September 30th. And the information can be found at the scea.org/dairyberryday. So without further ado, let's bring on Cherolyn. Cherolyn, how are you doing tonight?
I am good. How are you?
I'm doing great. And I just want to say thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you get a lot of calls. And tonight you kind of wanted to talk about two of the major things you get a lot of calls about. One is the new unencumbered time policy that went into effect, and what that means for educators and what they can kind of expect. And also, I know you wanted to talk about class sizes. You get a lot of questions about, what are the policies, what are the state sort of statutes around class sizes. So we'll go ahead and just kind of jump right into that. I know you wanted to start off with the unencumbered time, so I will bring that up and jump right in.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you, Todd, for having me on this evening. I think you do an absolute fabulous job as well. Just being the head learner with Cool, which is a cool program to have at the SCA. So just appreciate you for that. As you said, my name is Cherolyn Allen, and I am the members advocate at the SCEA. And the disclaimer was presented at the beginning because I am also an attorney. And so we want to make sure that you understand that the information that is being presented here is just that information. And it does not create any attorney-client privilege. And so thank you for posting that prior. So I've been tasked with just talking about, just the different things, the different topics that that come up at the help desk. And I hear so many different things. And, when tasked with that, I thought about the two top priority, or not high priority, but the two big issues that are presented at this time of the year. Because yes, we know we're at the beginning of the school year. And so, what came to mind immediately is unencumbered time, because I would say of most of the calls that I've had recently, that most of them have generated around this question. which is a new law. It's been it was enacted last year, and the school districts were given roughly about a year to fully implement it. I think it was signed into law about May of 2022. And so the districts had until about July, not about exactly July 1st, to fully implement this law. And so I've had some questions about it, but I would say within the last few weeks, since the beginning of the school year, I've had quite a number of questions about it. So I said, well, this might be something to discuss tonight. And so I'm going to try to go through it, and of course, won't be able to fully answer every question that there is. And as you said, there, at the help desk, and you can get that telephone number from the website if you are a member. And if you're not, we welcome you. Okay, so just diving into it. All right, so it is the law is section 59-563, which is the South Carolina Code. And so I'm going to go through the what, who, where, and those questions, the W questions. What is it? Unencumbered time. It is basically saying that an educator should be allowed to have 30 minutes of unencumbered time, and it is as it says. That means that there should be no direction, no instruction, no direct demand from your supervisor, the principal, during those 30 minutes. And it should be sometime within the school day. And it's that the time is not exactly is not stated when that time should be, for the obvious reason that there are different things that happen throughout the school day and different schedules. And so it would have to be something that is within the times of the school, the teachers, and whatever your schedule, the individual schedules are. Okay, so I've had some questions, just trying to, think through the questions that I've had. Can those 50 minutes be split into 2 or 3? 30 minutes is not a very long time. So can you split it into 2 15 minutes? The answer is generally no, you can't. It's 30 minutes. And so it would be 30 minutes whenever it's decided. And that means no cafeteria duty. You're not asked to be responsible for students coming into your classroom and sitting and having to answer questions of students. It is just your time to basically do what you think you need to do, even if it is just time for you just to take some time out. Okay, so the next W question is who? Who does this apply to? And the answer is that it applies to, it's not everybody. It's not all teachers. I've had teachers call me who are high school teachers and say, what does this apply to me? It does not. The statute says that it applies to full-time teachers with who are teaching classes between kindergarten and 5th grades. And so that's who it applies to, the smaller, the lower grades, the elementary grades. I have to point out that it's just not, in regards to high school and middle schools, there are some teachers that gets the benefit of this law. It's also for teachers who teach special ed students for more than 20% of the day. So that's the who. It's those individuals, those educators. So as I said, it does not apply to everybody. It would be nice if it did, but it does not. Okay, so having to implement, this new law, the districts, I have found, just going through and speaking with teachers about, basically what is happening in their schools, and there's, lots of questions that they ask. I have found that a lot of the districts have actually place the policies or place the law in the form of a policy on their website. So it is good that as an educator that you can actually go onto your district's website and actually see it there. And there's not the ones that I've looked at. There hasn't been any, as I can recall, there's no variation from the law. So it is good to to see that. And what I think you put up there, Todd, is there is also a model policy that was actually developed by the Department of Ed, and that also is so helpful. And I believe that it is on our website, but it gives you some of the different scenarios for this new law. And I'm gonna, because my eyes are not as good as they used to be, and I have it right in front of me, so I could just look at it from here. But okay, so it tells the purpose, and then it goes into, you can see that for yourself, but the procedure and how to implement the unencumbered time. And this is important because it's new. It was new for all of the districts, and so there were a lot of questions being asked, and so this was developed so that as sort of a guidance for them to just follow along. So I'm just going to go straight to the third paragraph. The placement of unencumbered time within the workday is flexible. Is based, as I said, based on the staffing and the scheduling needs of each school. So it's it's a conversation or just a implementation between the principals and the teachers. All right, so examples. It must not, the unencumbered 30 minutes must not include parent-teacher conferences. If you're asked to go to a parent-teacher conference, are you being given your unencumbered time? That's a definite no. If you're asked to be on bus duty for 30 minutes, is that unencumbered time at the beginning of or the end of the school day? Is that your unencumbered time? Absolutely not. Here comes the bigger question: IEP and 504 meetings. No, absolutely not. If you are asked to go to these meetings, you're not being allowed your time to be on your own without any types of demands, no responsibilities. No, it would not count. Professional developments. If you decide that it's not directed, that you want to participate in a professional development on your time, then you can make that decision. But if your principal tells you that you have to go to a professional development activity at, I don't know, 2:00 in the afternoon, then it might be that's different. So, and then the rest of that fourth paragraph basically goes through what I just said already, which is you should not be responsible to manage, supervise transitioning of students to and from classes, lunch, recess, or any other activities. Okay. The next paragraph is the provision of 30 minutes of unencumbered time must not be achieved by expanding the expected work hours for teachers before or after the school day. That is very important. I get a lot of calls about that. It's being said that, in order to fit in that time, the principals are saying, well, you can take your 30 minutes before school starts, or you can take it after school starts. And that should not be. It should be within the school day. So not, in other words, not at the beginning or the end. And so if that is happening, that is something to question your principals about, because I don't think that was the intent of the law. I want to say, though, there was a question about if you have an IEP meeting at 3:00 every day, whether or not, you would still be asked to attend that IEP meeting at 3:00 every day. And that is a little, that question depends. If you are being asked to go to an IEP meeting at 3 o'clock every day, then you could potentially continue to be asked to attend an IEP meeting every day at 3 o'clock. And so, as long as you're getting your unencumbered time at some other point of the day. The other question that has been asked a whole lot is about planning time. And if you have planning time at a certain point, you have planning time at about 11 o'clock every day. And are you additionally entitled to another 30 minutes of unencumbered time? And then that's where it gets tricky, because you potentially, no, you will not be, if you have planning time, because planning time is the true understanding of planning time is that you are able to plan. You can, work on your own. There's not supposed to be any instruction from your supervisor. And so at that time, you should be able to do whatever you need to do. Do you get 30 minutes on top of that? And the answer would be, from what I'm understanding, is that no, you would not get an additional 30 minutes. And so I know that has been a big question. So just again, going through the model policy here, and just the things that could come up in the school is that it can be reduced due to the amount of time that you would have for unencumbered time, could be reduced if there is an emergency situation at the school. And so, it says such circumstances could include, but are not limited to, emergency drills or an insufficient number of staff and substitute teachers to maintain instruction in the school. And so, nothing is, well, how do we say that? Life is just fluid. So things are happening all the time. And so, it's just having to look at to see whether or not it makes sense, or if, what has occurred to disrupt the unencumbered time is reasonable. And so if there is an emergency situation, or if there's not enough staff, can they make some adjustments? Yes. But then the question becomes, well, how long does that adjustment go on for? And, because it should not be a permanent adjustment. It should be something that is temporary, so that it's, you're able to adapt and adjust as life happens. And so, if it continues, then, you as an educator would have to, or would be able to, speak to the principal about it.
Right.
Okay. And so moving on to the next situation is penalty. And so I just mentioned that if there is an issue with the unencumbered time, the proper way to adjust it is basically to go to your principal about it. Should you go straight to the school board or to the district office? I would say no. I would say that the first step would be to basically it probably would be better to speak to the principal about it, and also put it in writing that you've been asked to do these things, and that that's not your understanding of what the unencumbered time encompasses or should encompass. And so, address it that way. And as the model policy shows that there is, strict regards for it. It says that the intentional failure of the school's principal to provide eligible teachers with 30 minutes of unencumbered time may result in appropriate action under the district's disciplinary policy, and may be sufficient cause for the suspension or revocation of such person's educator certificate pursuant to the law. So that's serious. And, so it means that the legislators intended for this to be applied and to be abided by. So, which is the reason why, it's such a serious code that it's necessary for a teacher who feels that it's being violated to address it with the principal first before they went straight to the school board or to, the district office about it. And so that is the information that I have about unencumbered time. Of course, that it's just so vast that, we could talk about it for a long time. And I think that we actually use that 30 minutes pretty quickly. But we can, if, like Todd, as you said, if there are any questions about it, people can always call the help desk. And, 803-551-4153. And we can talk about it if you are a member. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to talk on, and it's, it would be quick, is I wanted to mention caseloads, because that is a question that is asked a lot, especially at the beginning of the school year. I have 35 kids in my class, and I teach this particular subject. I teach that other subject. And, is that right? Should I have to, have this amount of students in my classroom? And I always go straight to the regulations. This is the South Carolina regulations, and the site is 43-205, and you can bring it up. If you were to put that into your Google, you can bring it right up, and it gives you a list of all of the subjects. Well, not all the subjects, but it gives you the grade levels and, what is expected in terms of class sizes. And as you will see, the lower the grade is, the lower the number, but as it moves up to the higher grades, then it increases the number, the per student to teacher ratio goes up. And so I wanted to just put this into the discussion tonight, that this is something that you can actually just bring up on your phone or your computers. I want to give the caveat that with this, there's always waivers. Some of the schools do ask for waivers based on, as we all know, there's a great big shortage of teachers. And so they're always trying to find people to teach the classes. And so a couple of things is that, some of the school districts ask for waivers when they have a lot of students, and the waivers come from the Department of Ed. And so some schools do have waivers to bypass these. And I know that the Department of Ed, I know I've had conversations with some of the attorneys there that say that they try not to follow these too much anymore, but it is still a regulation. And it's a regulation, and it serves as a guideline. I was a teacher many moons ago, and I know what it's like to have lots of kids in your classroom and not, don't have, just not having support and all of that. So it is overwhelming. It does reduce the ability to really instruct when you have an overwhelming amount of students in your classroom. So as you have up, Todd, it's, it says grade level. And I don't have these memorized, but because I always go to them, they're there. So pre-K to kindergarten, 20 students to one teacher. K to 3, it goes up to 30 to 1. Grades 4 to 5, with the specialties of English, arts, and math, 30 to 1. And I guess because English and math are so important. And then grades 4 to 5 with all the other subjects, 35 to 1. And just scrolling down, if you're able to do that, Todd, just moving towards, okay. And so you have the different ratios rather, for a ratio for students with disabilities for those types of classrooms, because as we know, it's harder when you're dealing with our kiddos with special needs, and so the amount goes down drastically. Mental disabilities 15 to 1, emotional disabilities 12 to 1, learning disabilities 15 to 1, and visually impaired and deaf and hard of hearing is 10 to 1. And then as you scroll down a little bit more, then you have the cross categorical self-contained classes, and those are the combinations of mental disabilities, learning disabilities 15 to 1, the cross of mental disabilities, learning, and emotional 12 to 1. And then you have basically everything included, all the students included into one is 12 to 1. And so just scrolling down more, it's the way that the regulations are partitioned is that it tells you based on the grades. And so moving to middle school, grade 6, English, language arts, and math, 30 to 1. 6th grade, all the other subjects, 35 to 1. And grade 7 to 8, 35 to 1. And so it has the same thing for, just as it does from elementary school, it has also the analysis for special ed. And so it's all there under 43-205. And then just skipping down to high school, if you can go there, Todd. Okay. Well, we can also, right here, it points out that for the teachers, school counselors, and library media specialists must be certified. Okay. I think that's a different section. That's another topic for another day. Okay, so all right, so here we go. For high school, it does not, for the high school's section, it does not specify it as it does for the lower grades. What it does say is, or states, is that the maximum daily teaching load for teachers in those high school classes is 150 students, and that no class should exceed 35 students in enrollment. It also specifies that 1,500 minutes per week must be permitted to teach. And when, calculate, I always go down to hours per day instead of minutes. And roughly that comes out to be about six hours per day. So I know I get a lot of questions about that as well. How many hours am I supposed to be teaching in the day? And it's about 6 hours a day instruction. Of course, you can have additional time doing other things, but instruction should be no more than 6 hours per day. And so that is basically the time that is, or the caseload that is separated or partitioned in the regulations. Of course, I always say to our members to call in that if it is at the beginning of the school year, it's always good to give um, the principals a little bit of time to just kind of get the schedules adjusted. You have students who are starting and students who are changing schools or coming in, changing out. I would say giving your administrators, to be fair, 2 to 3 weeks just for them to be able to adjust the schedules, and you know if it is going into your third or fourth week and you still have 40 kids on your caseload, you definitely should be saying something about that, and starting with the principal, that you basically saying that, what, I have a lot of kids here. Of course, it never should be in an offensive way, but just
Right.
basically saying that you have a lot of, over the amount, and being able to bring that up, and printing it out and sending it to them is always helpful. I've done that many times, just, working with our members. So that is basically what I wanted to present here. Of course, there's so many things that we could talk about, and we will. We will be continuing these conversations, Todd. So there's so many different things that we will be talking about, but I felt that today, because of just it being the beginning of the school year, that it would be good to start off with this.
Yeah, I think these are two really important issues. One relatively new, and one that's been an issue for years and years. And as a former classroom teacher, it's always
Mhm.
good to know exactly what the statutes say, what the regulations are, so that you can very objectively and calmly, like you said, go in and have that conversation armed with that information.
Right.
And I love your point about giving some grace to school leaders as they sort of sort out schedules and class sizes. I mean,
Right.
that's a very complicated, difficult, and very challenging thing to have to do, to balance all that out, and to balance the needs of the students and the teachers and so forth. And they're trying to thread a lot of needles, but I also think it's really incumbent upon teachers to stand up for themselves, because, it was our union that fought and won this unencumbered time, and it's us together that hold accountable school leaders and districts to these regulations, to these laws, to ensure that educators are not being exploited, and that they have a reasonable amount of time to
Mhm.
plan, and just for themselves, just to use the bathroom, and to eat, and to rest for a few
Sure.
moments during the day, and then
As
also not to have huge class sizes where they're burdened with so much paperwork and things to grade after school, and calls to make, and the kind of communication that is really necessary nowadays, and especially in those special education classrooms where there's so much paperwork, and the IEPs and the meetings and so forth. It's really important that our educators know what the policy is, know what the regulations are,
Right.
and then can come together. And also, the other thing I would say is it's important um, to not do this in isolation, and that's why we've really been working hard to build collective voice, because if you can organize at your school building and at your district level, then it's not just you going into the principal. It's this sense of solidarity, that even if your neighbor teacher is overwhelmed with large class sizes, or isn't getting the proper amount of unencumbered time, that you
Mhm.
would stand up for that educator, not just force them to deal with this in isolation. That there's a unity among and solidarity among educators, that we work together to ensure that all the rights of our great educators are being respected.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Sherilyn, and the service that you provide to our members is so invaluable. And I just want to have you just give out that help desk number one more time before we sign off.
Sure. I actually, there is an 800 number as well, but it's 803-551-4153 is actually the direct number to me. And there is an 800 number, which I don't have on me.
But it's on the website, probably.
It is on the website,
Yeah,
yes.
and just as a reminder, that is only for members of the SCEA.
Right.
So if you want access to that kind of assistance, that is, again, one of the many benefits of membership, is having access to Cherolyn and to our help desk to get these questions answered. And we would encourage you to do that. You can look at the bottom of your screen and join us today at jointhescea.org, or texting the word join to 48744. Any final thoughts, Cherolyn?
No, just thank you for having me, and I look forward to the next time, because we will be doing this, having these discussions regularly. So I look forward to the next time.
Well, thank you, Cherolyn. Thank you for being there for our members. They're so busy, and they don't necessarily have all the time in the world to look up these laws and dig into there's so much to read and figure out, and you do such a great job of digging in and knowing exactly what they need to know, so that when they call, you've got those answers for them. So thanks again for your time tonight.
Thank you, Todd.
All right, that's Cherolyn Allen, the SCEA's member advocate. We appreciate you tuning in tonight. We hope that you found this live stream helpful. Tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, we are going to have a live stream with members of the Florence Education Association. John Huggins is going to be there. Shamir Tisdale is going to be there, and Angelica McDonald. So you're definitely going to want to check that out tomorrow night. And again, if you missed it, we just released a blog post by Steve Newsom, who's an incredible writer, and you can find that on the Cool website at cool.us/post/Sisyphus, or you can just go to the Cool website at cool.us, scroll down to a section that's called Cool Views, and you'll find all of the live streams that we do housed at that website. So if you miss one, we've got probably 70 to 80 live streams already housed at that website, including amazing panel discussions and all kinds of topics that might be relevant to you. We try to talk about politics and educational philosophy and wellness and technology, and we have just a whole host of conversations around really building the kind of culture that educators deserve in this state. And we love leading those discussions and having our members lead and amplifying their voices. So because we think educators deserve to be heard, and their voices matter, and they need a seat, not only a seat at the table, but they need to be listened to and respected and honored, because they have so much wisdom to share and expertise, and we appreciate all of our members doing that. So we invite you to visit the Cool website. Final thing, I just want to remind everybody about a couple of upcoming live streams. We're going to be taking a tour of the SCEA website with Heaven Hale and Colleen O'Connell on September 6th at 7 o'clock. We're going to be doing a live stream with Cassie Owens-Moore and Michelle Spires, two school librarians here in South Carolina, about the book bannings that have unfortunately been taking place. On September 19th, the amazing Veronica Primus will join us for a conversation around circle teaching and the importance of rest. And of course, this is a huge event that we're having on September 30th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at our headquarters in Columbia. You can go to the scea.org/Dairyberry Day, and you can sign up for that event. So thank you for tuning in tonight. We will see you tomorrow night as we talk with some folks from Florence. We hope you have a wonderful evening.